Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Fujit's Blitz with me, Fujit. Hello. On this fine but very strange Monday evening. Why is it strange? Well, I'm meant to be streaming a tournament on the EU server. But those of you on the EU server may have noticed two strange phenomena hitting the game today. Number one, the servers on the EU are a little bit delicate, bless them, and they've been sort of pinging up and down and doing out and kicking people out and all that sort of stuff. So Wargaming, quite rightly, postponed the tournament until tomorrow. That's number one. Now, those of you who have been playing may have realised that and thought, oh, servers are down again. And, yeah, that's annoying in its own right. But the other thing that's quite interesting, there's no in-game battle chat anymore. It's gone. It's been removed, only on the EU server. APAC and NA, you've still got battle chat. You lucky little devils, you. But not on the EU. So what has prompted this? Well, Wargaming did do an announcement on their Discord channel 3 days ago. 4 days ago. Oh, they gave us 4 days notice. Yeah. And in that announcement, they said the battle chat is very rarely used. In fact, it's there, look. Or is it there? It's very rarely used for real coordination, and they've analysed tons and tons of battles, and it's just toxic and negative, and that's it, basically. And I can't argue with that, because if you go back through your replays, you will see that the battle chat is abuse of some description. It may be, mild levels of toxicity to the extent that X-Tank is a noob, or X-Tank go and play a lower tier, or even report. Okay, that's normal. That's the normal sort of run-in-the-mill. Then you get the obscene toxicity, which is, go and run off a short pier, or go and play with something electrical in the bath, or something along those lines. Now, let's be honest with ourselves here. The EU server has always been relatively toxic. Let's not kid ourselves. I mean, you only have to go back into any of the YouTubers who have been around for a long time to see that toxicity replays have been doing the run-of-the-mill for a long, long time now. Yet many of us still think that the toxicity levels on the EU server only increase because of the recent migration, which I'm not buying that nonsense. Yes, the toxicity levels would have gone up significantly because we had more players come onto the server. That I understand. But that's like saying, well, the EU server was perfect until the migration. Nobody on EU was toxic. That's just not true. Because I guarantee you, every one of us, to an extent, has been toxic. Now, it may be low-level toxicity from some of you, or maybe absolute in-your-face, toxicity. I don't know. But each and every one of us has had a game where we've been frustrated. Each and every one of us has said something that we've later regretted. For whatever reason, okay? It could be, you could be just calling your teammates a bunch of morons or clueless potatoes or whatever. That's still toxicity, funnily enough. But, Wargaming have said, effectively, there's too much toxicity, it's all negative, and it's all people highlighting frustrations. Therefore, easiest way to deal with it is to curtail it. Get rid of it. Ban it. Take it away. You're not allowed to have it, you naughty little people. You're far too toxic for your own good. Now, I'm sort of in two minds over this one. Firstly, I'm going to miss the battle chat because I like talking to people. I like saying hello when people say hello to me, and I like saying hello to people who I know, and I like saying GGs, and I like, doing a few pointers here and there. I like that. And to have that removed because of a few mindless potatoes who sit behind a keyboard and type away until their little heart's content, seeing how much shocking awe they can do, sort of feels like I'm being penalised like a naughty schoolboy for doing something that somebody else did. It's like that. It's like the scene from Full Metal Jacket when Private Pyle brings in the jelly donut. He punishes the whole platoon and not Private Pyle. That's what I feel like. I feel like the platoon in that I'm being punished because of the Private Piles out there who can't keep their mouths shut and like to be toxic little trolls. And that sort of grates me a little bit. Don't get me wrong, however. I do feel that the toxicity needs to be addressed because we all take it in different ways. 9 times out of 10, the toxicity doesn't affect me. I'll be honest with you. I mean, names will never hurt me, to be honest. So people can say lots of nasty stuff to me, and it's over my head. My standard reply to them is yes, or I know, or okay, just to really rile them further. So the toxicity side of it doesn't affect me, but just because it doesn't affect me doesn't mean to say it doesn't affect others. So yes, wargaming do have an obligation to address the toxicity. Now this is a little bit of a sledgehammer to crack a nut, not gonna lie. Let's address the toxicity. How? Remove the in-game chat. Therefore, nobody can talk to each other. Therefore, nobody can be toxic anymore. That seems like a bit of an overkill to me. Now, they did say that they're looking at more effective ways to communicate. I don't know what that is at the moment. We can't use hand signals or smoke signals or anything like that. And I'm pretty sure they're not telling everybody to jump into Discord, because you don't know who you're going to be paired up with in a random battle. Now, they are trying, with the recent update, if you're on the open test, a new battle chat command prompt, which is less than ideal, to be honest with you. It's pretty dire, to be fair. And they need to tinker with that a lot to make it work. Now, the thing is, the chat prompt commands are still there. Okay, so you can still say help repeatedly. You can still say hold position repeatedly. You can still say attack repeatedly. And you can still say, capture the base repeatedly. 4 commands that are sort of, okay. I mean, the hold position command is only effective if there's like 2 of you and it's a 2v1 or a 2v2 scenario. It's not really effective when you've got a full 7 players. You've got half the team going one side of the map, the other team going the other side of the map, and you say hold position. Who are you telling hold position to? Everybody, or just the portion that's with you? Attack, what does that mean? I mean, I see people spamming the attack key as soon as the battle counter stops. Attack! And then I have other people say, help! It doesn't mean anything. And then, of course, you've got negative and positive. And that doesn't really do much either. So they need to expand that, okay? And one of the things that the in-game chat enabled you to do was to say flank left, flank right, go center, blah, blah, blah. And that was pretty good. Okay, we still have the mini-map to do that. But I'll be honest with you, one of the biggest problems that I get with players is that they don't read a mini-map anyway. And when you press the area on the mini-map that you want people to go to, it says, focus area number 1. And like people, well, what's area number 1? And before they realise it, it's flashed up on the mini-map, because they don't watch the mini-map. They have no clue where area number 1 is, so they go off in their own direction anyway. So the chat commands are not that great. So they need to think about expanding those, which is what they're thinking of doing, to be fair, with the recent update. But as I said, it's not perfect. But let's get back to the point here. Some people have said to me, oh, this is curtailing free speech. No, it's not. It doesn't work that way. The chat is given to us as a privilege, okay? Now, if we abuse the privilege can be taken away from us. As I said, I'm not too happy with the fact that a privilege has been taken away because of some other mindless troll that I have no control over. That seems a little bit harsh to me, because it just does. Now, we've had chat bans, but they're always ineffective. I mean, what's the point of banning somebody from the chat for like 3 days? There's no point, is it? I mean, if you were going to get a chat ban, then it should have just been a chat ban, And then, over time, these toxic trolls wouldn't have the ability to chat anymore. Simple as. They should have still had the command prompts, but anybody who had a chat ban should have just been banned from the chat, period. Not 3 days, followed by a week, followed by whatever. It should have been just full blanket ban. And then in time, you would have got the toxicity down. Also, maybe within time, you may have got to a scenario that we're at now with no battle chat. Because to be honest, wargaming are technically correct. There is no positivity. There is no coordination. Everybody nowadays in the game is effectively all about damage and mastery, and it's all me, 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 me. There's no teamwork, there's no coordination, there's no strategic thinking in a majority of the games. I would say 99.9% of the games are people spamming various keys like attack or help or hold position, and those are actually using the battle chat, are normally saying report this noob or report that noob or this guy's a noob or whatever. And only a small portion of players are actually using the battle chat to coordinate the battle and actually try and win the game. So I have to agree with Wargaming on that point. It's fair. You know, we're not using the battle chat correctly. And that's our fault, not Wargaming. We can't blame Wargaming for something that we are effectively responsible for. So, yes, I think it's right to address toxicity. Yes, I think it's right to re-look at things. And don't get me wrong, Wargaming have been trying to combat this toxicity thing for a long time. They have a massive spreadsheet of, like, you know, words that you cannot use. But we come up with new and inventive ways of spelling these toxic swear words, or whatever you want to call them, in, you know, very colourful different languages. So, you know, we'll use numerals instead of in place of the letters to get around the basic ban, and that's happening a lot. To be fair, you know, you only have to look at a few replays to see that. So it's not that Wargaming haven't tried to address this, because they have. And I think this is the straw that's broken the camel's back. They've got to the point where they say, well, there's nothing that we can no longer do to effectively control this. It's out of hand. And the only effective way we can deal with this is to remove it fully. Now, as I said, I don't fully agree with that. I think it's a bit of an overkill. But that doesn't mean to say I don't find method in their madness, because I do. And that's why I'm in two minds on this one. Yes, they have an obligation to address toxicity. Yes, they have an obligation to give us a decent game that is free from harassment or bullying or intimidation. But at the same time, punishing everybody, tarring everybody with the same brush, seems a little bit harsh and unfair. I, for one, am going to miss it. Now, I've already received some messages from some people saying it's horrible not being able to chat in-game. I know some people out there already roll out without the battle chat turned off. In fact, I know some of the YouTubers who roll out with it turned off. The thing is, they've only turned it off in the general scheme of things. You can still talk to each other in your platoon. If you're platooning, you'll still be able to chat. You will still be able to do the quick commands, and you will still be able to do the map interactions. So it's only the, you know, speaking to the full team or to the wider world that has been removed from the game. Is that a good thing? Well, possibly. Yes, it will reduce the toxicity. Yes, it will make the game more pleasurable in that view, because people aren't going to be upset by what other people have said. And that can only be applauded, to be honest with you, because yes, we are a toxic bunch of people, to be fair. So that's a good thing as far as I'm concerned, but I'm still going back to, I don't like things being taken away from me when I don't think I've done anything wrong. That's a different argument. Anyway, let me know your comments in the chat below. And before you go off on one saying, oh, wow, they needed to do it because of the CIS migration. Like I said earlier, we've always been a toxic server. You know, just because we migrated to a CIS doesn't mean to say that all of a sudden we were, you know, squeaky clean and snow white little angels who were never toxic, because we were toxic. And all that's happened now is that people have come across who are toxic in a different language, which shouldn't affect you unless you speak that language, because you'll be looking at what they're writing and saying, well, that makes no sense to me. So you can't use that one as an excuse, to be honest with you. Anyway, I digress. That has been my view on what's currently happening with the game. I'd like to know your thoughts on this one. That's what the comments are for below. So comment. And until the next time, guys, remember, stay safe out there. Have fun on the battlefield and happy tanking, because at the end of the day, it is only a game. And admittedly, having the chat removed, preventing me from chatting to people, is a big part of that game, which I'm pretty miffed about. But it is only a game. So the whole idea is to have fun and to be happy. Remember that.